So, in part one of this video, the previous part of this video, I talked about how basically Double Dragon could be turned into a beat 'em up in the vein of, say, Yakuza. In this video, I'm going to talk about how Double Dragon could be possibly turned into how that could be done on a lower budget and some story ideas. So let's get to it after the cut. So here's my idea. Basically, in the first video, if you watch the first video first, you know that I had this idea to have like this small city, or maybe not, the city's not that small, just the area you explore is kind of small. And basically you're forced to kind of learn how to utilize that small space. But if the game did particularly well, I think in a sequel you could possibly have you going to China, or maybe some place that's like an amalgamation of China, maybe some new city, because the Double Dragon games have always been kind of like set in the future. Like, I think the original games were set in this like post-apocalyptic future. Maybe a future one could be set in a kind of if not a post-apocalyptic future, kind of like a like a near future where there's maybe like some type of new city that's like man-made, kind of like how Japan made that man-made island. So maybe some man-made island made between China and Japan that has like an amalgamation of both architectural-wise and cultural-wise, and that's basically where you get to explore your new thing, your sequel, right? Where the Shadow Master got away, so now you got to take him on in his home turf, this new place, and maybe you up the game's ante a little bit, right? Hell, maybe you take it a step further and include the original city in the new game, along with the new one, and add some new features. Like maybe in the first game, you have two modes. You have the adventure mode, which is like the main story, and then you have kind of like a how can I put this? Like a free roam mode, where enemies that you basically enemies that you defeat, like specialty enemies. Like, let's say you defeat a Bobo, you can choose to kill him or save him. If you save him, he becomes a character that can be played in free play, right? So now you can basically play as a Bobo. You can play as a Bobo in free mode, right? Or Lash or whomever, So that kind of adds some replayability and other components to the title. But those are just some ideas. Maybe in the second game you have a dojo system, where in the first game you recruit people to join your dojo, but now you can go to other dojos and learn some of their martial arts, changing how your character plays, like augmenting your own base martial arts, that type of thing, making your character more powerful, or augmenting how they use certain weapons, that type of thing. Just little things like that could add some depth and complexity to it, because Double Dragon, by and large, has never been like a straight-up arcade port for the home system. It's mostly been more of a tactical game. Unsweetened iced tea, delicious. So basically, those are my ideas. And I think if you utilize a lot of the same assets, and the only new ones you use are maybe for this new city that still has a lot of the same stuff, just retextured, you could really save your money. So with that being said, I guess we can go to miscellaneous stuff like who would I get to make the game, and etc. etc. Cut. So who would I get to make this game? Well, the only people I know these days who make 3D beat 'em ups would be between either the Yakuza people or the or Platinum, right? That's it. Those are the only group of developers that can keep it cheap, but also at the same time have some quality. So those are the ones I'm going with. I know some people are going to be like, no, how could you do that? Why? But I think they could pull it off. So the budget I envision for this game is somewhere between maybe 10-20 million. For the first game. If the first game does well, maybe up the budget of the second game by a factor of 50. So maybe if it's 20 million, make it 30. If it's 10 million, make it 15 for the second game. And the reason I'm going, with a smaller budget for this game is, let's keep it real. Beat 'em ups don't have to be the most prettiest looking game. They have to be fun and functional. Like, the controls have to be good enough that you can get it, and the combat has to be good enough that it's visceral. Like, beat 'em ups live or die with their gameplay, right? Graphics aren't really the most important, because look at something like Power Stone. Power Stone is not the prettiest game in the world, but it doesn't matter because the gameplay is on point. So, you don't need great graphics for a game like that. So with that being said, we went over the budget and who I would like to make the game. So we'll get to the conclusion after the cut. So my conclusion is this: basically, the Yakuza games could the Double Dragon games could stand to be brought back in a big way. The current reboot/continuation that Arc System Works did was piss poor. We did not need another NES style game, because even if you consider the fourth game to be good, that means there's 2 good NES style Double Dragon games. When there's way more games that are, more core. So with that being said, just wanted to get that out there. I guess we can go into upcoming events after the cut. So, this Saturday, Sci-Fi Power Hour-ish, we'll be talking about Henry Cavill reportedly no longer being Superman and where we think the DC Cinematic Universe can go from here. We'll also talk about this Sunday is the BS Busters, where we'll be covering, the Nintendo Direct and viewer-submitted questions. So, submit your questions in the comment section below this video and the previous video, or you could use my Discus, which I will leave a link to in the comment section as well. Just click on that and you can ask all the questions you want. So with that being said, that's the end of the video. Thank you for joining, and peace!